I am breaking into my gym workout to bring you breaking news, which is that Jim Comey, the former FBI director, has been charged, indicted on counts of lying to Congress in the Eastern District of Virginia. Now, the charges haven't been unsealed yet, but the reporting, at least from the New York Times, is that Comey was indicted Thursday on one count of making a false statement and one count of obstruction. This is in regards Comey investigating the 2016 presidential election when he was the FBI director. All right, how did we get here? You will remember Donald Trump got rid of the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, a guy named Eric Siebert, last Friday, because Siebert had not yet charged Comey or New York Attorney General Letitia James, two of Donald Trump's biggest political enemies. Trump, over the weekend, sent a True Social post out to millions of people in which he sort of instructed the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to indict these people, basically to say these people are guilty as hell, his words, and they needed to be held accountable because they had been involved in sort of prosecuting and persecuting him. He then appointed a woman named Lindsay Halligan, who had no past prosecutorial experience, I will note, but was his former defense lawyer. He appointed her as the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. It should surprise exactly no one that days later, Jim Comey has been indicted. What does Donald Trump want from this? The maximum penalty here, if I'm reading all the reporting right, is 5 years in prison. Jim Comey ain't going to prison for 5 years. If Jim Comey spends a day in prison, I would be surprised. What does Donald Trump want to do? He wants to embarrass Jim Comey by, criminal charges. He wants to make Jim Comey's life harder, right? He's got to deal with all this. You got to pay lawyers' fees. You got to deal with all this stuff. And he wants to exact revenge because he believes that Jim Comey was part of this lawfare against him, that these people purposely targeted him in 2016, again in 2020, and that fair is fair, and therefore using the DOJ against Jim Comey is just turnabout, and turnabout is fair play. I don't think really Trump cares necessarily if Comey is found guilty of any of this stuff. I think it's much more about the embarrassment, the revenge, the money that it will cost Jim Comey to defend himself. I think that's what he's much, much more focused on here. If Comey winds up being convicted or even spending time in jail, which again, I think is very unlikely, I think that's all sort of bonus for Donald Trump, but it's not the key. And I will say this is the first of Donald Trump's political enemies to be indicted through an extremely political process. I will note he got rid of the guy who said he wouldn't indict him because there wasn't enough evidence, and put in someone who he told to indict him, who then indicted Comey. You know what I mean? This is the first, but will not be the last. Trump has said he wants to indict Letitia James, New York Attorney General, over the case she brought against him. She was one of the 4 indictments Trump had between 2020 and 2024. He's talked about indicting Adam Schiff, the California senator, Democrat. Look, Donald Trump is expressly weaponizing the Department of Justice. I mean, we can argue about whether there were elements within the DOJ during the Biden years who hated Trump and targeted him. I think there were. I don't think Joe Biden was that person. I don't think Attorney General Merrick Garland was that person. But sure, were there some people there who politicized it because they hated Trump and didn't want him to be president again? Sure. But this is the president of the United States expressly saying, indict this person because they are my political enemy and I want their life to be made harder. And oh yeah, maybe they're guilty, right? They're guilty in his mind. That's not the same thing as actually being guilty. So Comey is the first. He will not be the last. And again, Donald Trump isn't really solving to see these people behind bars. He is solving to embarrass them, to maybe bankrupt them. and to exact revenge. That is what he is after. That is why he is doing this, and he is not going to stop. As always, I ask you to do one thing. This content is free. I hope that you'll consider hitting that subscribe button to support me as I grow as an independent news creator. Thanks. Take care.